In the winter of 1872, the Atlantic lay still, its surface a mirror of leaden gray, shrouded in fog so dense it seemed to choke the horizon. Out of this spectral haze, a shadow emerged. A brigantine, her sails limp, her hull swaying listlessly as if guided by no human hand. The Mary Celeste, found adrift by the crew of the Dei Grazia on December 4th, was a vessel forsaken. No sound broke the silence, save the groan of her timbers and the lap of waves against her sides. The air hung heavy, thick with salt and something unspoken, a dread that clung like damp rot. Her decks were empty, her lifeboat gone, her logbook frozen at November 25th, noting a position 400 miles east of the Azores. The cargo, barrels of industrial alcohol, stood untouched. The compass spun aimlessly, as if the sea itself had stolen her course. I, the sleepless scribe, stand on this ghostly deck, peering backward through the mists of time to trace the cursed legacy of a ship that haunts the seas, a vessel whose name is whispered only in dread. This is no mere tale of a lost ship, but a chronicle of a presence, a hull that seems to breathe with the weight of its own tragedies. The Mary Celeste, or the Amazon, as she was first christened, was born under a shadowed star, her story woven from maritime records, sailors' lore, and the murmurs of coastal villages. From her cursed origins to her final vanishing, she is a riddle carved in wood and iron, a symbol of the sea's indifference and humanity's fear. Let us step back to the wind-swept harbor where her keel was laid and unravel the threads of her dark history, era by era, until we return to the fog where she waits, silent and eternal. The birth of a doomed vessel, 1860 to 1861. In the autumn of 1860, the shipyards of Parsborough, Nova Scotia, echoed with the clatter of hammers and the scent of pine tar. Here, on a rocky shore lashed by the Bay of Fundy's restless tides, the Amazon took shape. She was a brigantine, 99 feet of sturdy oak and spruce, built for trade across the Atlantic's mercantile veins. Yet the harbor was a place of whispers, its people steeped in the lore of the sea. Old fishermen spoke of omens, a blood-red sunset the day her keel was laid, a raven that perched on her unfinished mast, unmoving for 3 days. The shipwrights, practical men, dismissed such talk, but their hands faltered as they carved her figurehead. A woman, her eyes hollow, gazing seaward as if already mourning. Her first captain, Robert McClellan, was a man of quiet resolve, chosen for his steady hand and deep knowledge of the Fundy's treacherous currents. Yet, before the Amazon could taste salt water, McClellan fell ill, his lungs ravaged by pneumonia. He died in his bed, his last breath rattling as the ship's hull was cocked. The townsfolk crossed themselves, muttering of curses, but the ship was launched in May 1861, her sails catching a wind that felt too cold for spring. The maiden voyage, a run to London with a cargo of timber, was plagued by mishaps, a torn mainsail, a cracked yardarm, and a crewman who fell from the rigging, his body lost to the waves. The log, penned by the new captain, John Parker, noted a foul air below decks, a stench of decay no scrubbing could erase. The Amazon returned, but her reputation was already tainted, her name whispered in taverns as a ship that carried ill fortune. The shadowed years, 1862 to 1868. The Amazon sailed on, her voyages a litany of near disasters. In 1863, she collided with a fishing schooner off Newfoundland. Her bow splintered, but her hull miraculously intact. The schooner's crew, all lost, spoke through survivors' tales of a ship that appeared from fog, her sails glowing faintly, as if lit by some unearthly fire. Maritime records from Halifax note her frequent repairs, each owner selling her at a loss, as if eager to be rid of her. By 1867, she ran aground on Cape Breton's jagged shores, her timbers groaning as the tide tried to claim her. Salvaged and sold, she passed to American hands in 1868, renamed the Mary Celeste, a name meant to cleanse her past, but one that only deepened her shadow. Sailors, superstitious by nature, wove tales around her. In Boston's docks, they spoke of lights flickering in her hold at night, of footsteps echoing when no man walked her decks. A mate from an 1866 voyage, his journal preserved in a maritime archive, wrote of dreams that plagued the crew, visions of a woman in white, her face obscured, standing at the helm during storms. The Mary Celeste became a vessel to avoid, her crew often hired from the desperate, men with nowhere else to turn. Yet the sea spared her time and again, as if reluctant to claim what it had already marked. Storms that sank ironclads left her battered but afloat, her survival a mystery as unsettling as her losses. The Voyage of the Damned, 1872. By 1872, the Mary Celeste was under the command of Benjamin Briggs, a man of faith and discipline, his reputation unblemished by the ship's dark fame. With his wife, Sarah, and their 2-year-old daughter, Sophia, he set sail from New York on November 7th, bound for Genoa with 1,701 barrels of industrial alcohol. The log, preserved in the National Archives, speaks of fair winds at first, but the Atlantic that winter was a beast of tempests, its waves towering like judgment. Briggs' entries grew terse, noting gales and shifting currents, until the final mark on November 25th. 38 degrees 20 N, 17 degrees 15 W, a storm looming. What followed is a void that history cannot fill. The Dei Grazia found her on December 4th, her decks pristine but lifeless. The galley stove was cold. A sewing machine stood mid-stitch. A child's toy lay abandoned. The lifeboat was missing, the sextant and chronometer gone. Yet the ship was seaworthy, her cargo undisturbed save for a few breached barrels, their fumes sharp in the air. The log offered no clues, only silence. Theories swirled in naval inquiries. A waterspout scattering the crew, alcohol vapors driving them to madness, or a mutiny quelled by the sea's own hand. Yet no trace of Briggs, his family, or the 7 crewmen was ever found, their lifeboat lost to the abyss. Coastal villages along the Azores spun their own tales. Fishermen claimed to have seen a brigantine drifting before the Dei Grazia's discovery, her sails lit by a sickly green glow. A Portuguese sailor, his account buried in a Lisbon archive, swore he heard a child's cry carried on the wind, though no ship was in sight. The Mary Celeste became a maritime ghost story, her name a warning to sailors who ventured too far from shore. The sea, vast and indifferent, held her secrets close, its depths a grave for truths too heavy to surface. The Ghost Ship's Wanderings, 1873 to 1885. The Mary Celeste did not rest after 1872. Salvaged and returned to service, she sailed under new captains, each plagued by misfortune. In 1874, a cargo of coal caught fire off Spain, the flames extinguished only by a sudden, inexplicable rain. In 1879, her crew reported a compass that refused true north, spinning wildly under clear skies. Maritime records from London note her frequent changes of ownership, her value plummeting as her legend grew. Sailors spoke of a chill that clung to her decks, of shadows that moved against the wind. A journal from an 1881 voyage, found in a Gloucester tavern, described a crewman who leapt overboard, screaming of eyes in the dark, watching from a hold. By 1884, the Mary Celeste was a pariah, her hull weathered, her sails patched like a beggar's cloak. Her final captain, Gilman C. Parker, plotted her end, running her aground on a Haitian reef in 1885 to claim insurance. The sea, as if mocking his intent, refused to claim her. Her wreckage washed ashore, her timbers eerily intact. The court convicted Parker of fraud, but the Mary Celeste's curse outlived him. Wreckers who salvaged her planks spoke of tools breaking inexplicably, of whispers carried on the trade winds. The ship's figurehead, recovered and stored in a warehouse, was said to weep salt water on moonless nights. The sea's eternal claim. Was the Mary Celeste a ship of wood and iron, or something more, a vessel that absorbed the fears of those who sailed her, a mirror for the sea's indifference. Maritime lore is rich with cursed ships, the Flying Dutchman, doomed to wander, the Octavius, frozen in Arctic ice with her crew entombed. Yet the Mary Celeste is no myth spun for firesides. Her existence is etched in logs, inquiries, and the trembling hands of scribes who recorded her tale. She is a paradox, a ship that survived storms only to lose her souls, a hull that defied the sea's hunger, yet carried its curse. Can wood and metal hold pain? Can fear haunt a hull? The Mary Celeste is a living symbol, her timbers soaked in the dread of men who face the unknown. Her creaking decks, her torn sails, her scent of salt and rot. These are not mere relics, but echoes of lives unmoored, of hopes drowned in the deep. Coastal villages still tell of her, their elders claiming she sails in fog-bound waters, her masts lit by ghost lights, her helm turned by no mortal hand. Naval archives, dry and factual, cannot erase the chill of her story, nor silence the rumors that drift like flotsam through generations. The vanishing. Return now to that fog-choked morning in 1872, when the Mary Celeste drifted, her deck silent, her fate unwritten. The Dei Grazia towed her to Gibraltar, her mystery laid bare in courts and newspapers, yet no answers came. And then, as if the sea reclaimed its own, she vanished again. Days after her salvage, docked and guarded, she was found missing from her berth, the ropes cut, the harbor still. No trace was found, no sighting confirmed. The Atlantic, vast and pitiless, swallowed her once more, as if unwilling to share her secret. The Mary Celeste haunts the seas still, a shadow in the fog, a whisper in the wind. Is she cursed, or merely a witness to humanity's frailty? Did her crews betray her, fleeing a terror they could not name? Or did she betray them, luring them to their doom? The sea offers no judgment, only silence, a silence that stretches across centuries, unbroken, eternal. I, the sleepless scribe, linger in her wake, my quill tracing questions that have no end. The Mary Celeste is gone, yet ever present, a ghost that sails where memory and fear converge, her story a tide that never recedes.